So here we have the function given by e raised to the power of x divided by 1 plus sine of x. So we need to find its derivative with respect to x. So we're going to use the quotient rule here. So we have the function 1 plus sine x in the denominator. So we will begin with the denominator. So we take 1 plus sine of x and then square it. Then in the numerator, we start with the same function, 1 plus sine of x, and then multiply it to the derivative of the function in the numerator, which is the exponential function. Minus, we have the exponential function multiplied to the derivative of the denominator, which is 1 plus sine x. So that is going to give us 1 plus sine of x multiplied to derivative of the exponential function is the function itself minus e raised to the power of x multiplied to the derivative of 1, which is 0, plus the derivative of the sine function will be cosine of x, all divided by 1 plus sine of x whole squared. Now in the numerator, we can do is we can take e raised to the power of x as the common factor. So that is going to leave us with 1 plus sine of x from the first term and negative cosine of x from the second term. Whole divided by 1 plus sine x whole squared. So this is the derivative of the given function, which we have determined using the quotient rule. Let's move on to the next question. Now we have the function x plus sine of x divided by x plus cosine of x. So let's find the derivative. So we will have in the numerator, in the denominator, let's begin with that. We have x plus cosine of x whole squared. Then we begin with the same function in the numerator. So we'll have x plus cosine of x multiplied to the derivative of the numerator, which is x plus sine x, minus x plus sine of x multiplied to the derivative of x plus cosine of x, which will give us x plus cosine of x multiplied to, now we're going to apply the derivative to both the two terms. So we have derivative of x plus the derivative of sine of x minus x plus sine of x times derivative of x plus derivative of cosine of x, whole divided by x plus cosine of x whole squared. So that gives us x plus cosine of x multiplied to derivative of x will be 1 plus derivative of the sine function is positive cosine of x minus x plus sine of x multiplied to derivative of x, which is 1, and derivative of the cosine function is negative sine x, whole divided by x plus cosine of x whole squared. So let us simplify the numerator. So we're going to multiply x to 1 plus cosine of x, so that will give us x plus x times cosine of x. Then we multiply cosine of x to 1 and cosine of x. It would give us cosine of x plus cosine squared x minus x times 1 minus sine of x will give us x minus x sine x, and sine x multiplied to 1 minus sine x will give us plus sine x minus sine squared x, whole divided by x plus cosine of x whole square, which will be equals to x plus x cosine of x plus cosine of x plus cosine squared x minus x plus x sine of x minus sine x plus sine squared x whole divided by x plus cosine of x whole squared. So the x and x gets cancelled, which will leave us with x cos x plus x sine of x. So we can take the x as the common factor. So that will leave us with cosine of x plus sine of x. Then we have cosine of x minus sine of x plus cosine squared x plus sine squared x, which will be equals to 1 divided by x plus cosine of x whole squared. Or in other words, let's take 1 as the common. So this will be the final result. This is the derivative of the given function with respect to x. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function sine of x plus cosine of x divided by sine of x minus cosine of x. So let us find out the derivative with respect to x by using the quotient rule. So the function in the denominator is sine x minus cosine of x. So let's take it and write it in the denominator by squaring it. So we have sine of x minus cosine of x whole squared. Now we begin with the function in the denominator, sine of x minus cosine of x, and multiply it to the derivative of the function in the numerator, which is sine x plus cosine x minus sine x plus cosine x multiplied to the derivative of sine x minus cosine x. So that will give us sine x minus cosine x times, now we apply the derivative to each of the terms. So we have derivative of sine x plus derivative of cosine x minus sine x plus cosine x multiplied to the derivative of sine x minus the derivative of cosine x whole divided by sine x minus cosine x whole square, which will be equals to sine x minus cosine of x multiplied to derivative of the sine function is cosine of x, and the derivative of the cosine function is negative sine x minus sine x plus cosine x multiplied to derivative of the sine function is the cosine function, and derivative of the cosine function being negative sine function, we have a positive sine x whole divided by sine x minus cosine of x whole square. Now let us simplify the numerator. So we'll have sine of x multiplied to cosine of x minus sine of x. So that will give us sine x times cosine x minus sine squared x minus cosine of x multiplied to cosine of x minus sine x will give us cosine squared x plus cosine of x times sine of x. Then for the second term, we have negative sine x multiplied to cosine of x, so that will give us negative sine x times cosine x. Then we multiply negative sine x to positive sine x, so that will be negative sine squared x. Then we have negative cosine of x multiplied to cosine of x plus sine of x, so we have negative cosine squared x minus cosine of x times sine of x, whole divided by sine x minus cosine of x whole squared. So let's bring the equality sign in line with the, so we have sine of x times cosine of x cancelling out, leaving us with negative 2 times sine squared x plus cosine squared x. Since we have negative sine squared x appearing 2 times, so they will combine to give us negative 2 times sine squared x. Similarly for the cosine squared function, we'll have negative 2 times cosine squared x. So if we take negative 2 as the common factor, that will be multiplied to sine squared x plus cosine squared x, whole divided by sine of x minus cosine of x whole square. Now sine squared x plus cosine squared x is 1. So our final answer is negative 2 over sine x minus cosine of x whole squared. So this is the derivative with respect to x. Let's move on to the next question. So we have the function secant x minus 1 over secant of x plus 1. Let's find the derivative with respect to x by using the quotient rule. So we'll have secant of x plus 1 whole squared in the denominator, and in the numerator we'll have secant of x plus 1 multiplied to the derivative of the numerator, which is secant of x minus 1 minus secant of x minus 1 multiplied to the derivative of secant of x plus 1. So that will be equals to secant of x plus 1 multiplied to the derivative of the secant function minus the derivative of 1 minus secant of x minus 1 multiplied to the derivative of secant of x plus derivative of 1, all divided by secant of x plus 1 whole squared, which is equals to secant of x plus 1 multiplied to, so the derivative of the secant function is secant of x times tangent of x, and we have derivative of 1, which is 0, minus secant of x minus 1 multiplied to the derivative of the secant function, which gives us secant of x times tangent of x plus derivative of 1, which is 0, whole divided by secant of x plus 1 whole squared. Now we simplify the numerator. So we have secant of x times tangent of x multiplied to secant of x plus 1. So we'll have secant squared x times tangent of x plus secant x times tangent of x minus secant of x multiplied to secant of x times tangent of x. So that will give us secant squared x times tangent of x. Now we have negative of negative 1 multiplied to secant x and tan x. So that will be positive secant x times tangent of x whole divided by secant of x plus 1 whole squared. So the secant squared x times tangent of x gets cancelled, and we have 2 times secant of x times tangent of x divided by secant of x plus 1 whole squared. So this is going to be the derivative of our function, which is secant of x minus 1 over secant of x plus 1 when we find its derivative with respect to x. So let's move on to the next one. So here we have the function 1 plus tangent of x divided by 1 minus tangent of x. So let's find its derivative with respect to x. So we'll have 1 minus tangent of x whole squared in the denominator. Then in the numerator we have 1 minus tangent of x multiplied to the derivative of 1 plus tangent of x, which is the numerator, minus 1 plus tangent of x multiplied to the derivative of 1 minus tangent of x, which will be equals to 1 minus tangent of x multiplied to the derivative of 1 plus the derivative of the tangent function, minus 1 plus tangent of x times derivative of 1 minus derivative of tangent of x whole divided by 1 minus tangent of x whole squared, which is equals to 1 minus tangent of x times derivative of 1 is 0 and derivative of the tangent function is secant squared x minus 1 plus tangent of x multiplied to derivative of 1 is 0, so we have negative derivative of this tangent function, which is secant squared x whole divided by 1 minus tangent of x whole squared. So the negative secant squared and the negative here will become positive, so let's make it positive, which will give us secant squared x minus tangent of x times secant squared x plus secant squared x plus tangent of x times secant squared x. Now divided by 1 minus tangent of x whole squared. So in the numerator, tangent of x times secant squared x will get cancelled since they are additive inverse of each other. So that leaves us with 2 times secant squared x whole divided by 1 minus tangent of x whole squared. So this is going to be the derivative of the function 1 plus tangent of x over 1 minus tangent of x with respect to x. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function secant of x plus tangent of x whole divided by secant of x minus tangent of x. So we need to find its derivative with respect to x. But before finding the derivative, what we are going to do, we are going to simplify this given trigonometric function by converting the secant function and the tangent function to a sine and cosine. So let's see. So we have secant of x. So secant of x is the reciprocal of the cosine function. So we'll have 1 over cosine of x plus tangent function, which is the ratio of the sine function to the cosine function. Similarly, in the denominator, we have 1 over cosine of x minus sine of x divided by cosine of x, which will be equals to, so let's take the LCM, let's combine the two terms in the numerator. So we'll have 1 plus sine x divided by cosine of x whole divided by 1 minus sine x over cosine of x. So we have a common denominator, sine of x, so that gets cancelled out, leaving us with 1 plus sine of x over 1 minus sine of x. So that means finding the derivative of the original function with respect to x is the same as finding the derivative of the simplified form, which is 1 plus sine x over 1 minus sine x. So let's find it out. So this will be equals to, we have 1 minus sine x whole squared in the denominator. In the numerator, we have 1 minus sine of x multiplied to the derivative of the numerator, which is 1, plus the derivative of sine of x minus the numerator, which is 1 plus sine x, multiplied to the derivative of the denominator. So we have derivative of 1 minus the derivative of sine function, which will be equals to 1 minus sine x multiplied to derivative of 1 is 0. So we have derivative of the sine function, which is cosine of x, minus 1 plus sine of x multiplied to derivative of 1 is 0. We have minus derivative of sine x, which is cosine of x, whole divided by 1 minus sine of x whole squared. So the negative and the negative will become positive. So now we multiply the terms in the numerator. So we'll get cosine of x minus sine of x times cosine of x plus cosine of x times plus sine of x times cosine of x whole divided by 1 minus sine of x whole squared. So negative sine x times cosine x gets cancelled with positive sine x times cosine of x, leaving us with cosine of x appearing 2 times in the numerator. So our final derivative will be 2 times cosine of x divided by 1 minus sine of x whole squared. So this is the final derivative of our function with respect to x.